Howdy, been a little while since we've had an update. Been busy doing other stuff, life things, so I finally got a chance to come out. It is Wednesday night. Right now it is 1:16 in the morning. Tired. Um, Thanks Allison and James for finally letting me come out for a little bit. Um, Hope you feel better soon, James. Anyway, what I worked on today, let's go over it real quick. Maybe. Okay. Doesn't really look like a lot's changed here, but I did quite a bit. This is the turbocharger that will supply extra air to the engine to give it more power, and I took it all apart so that I could get my oil supply line run correctly. That was the easy part. But mostly so that, let's see if I can show it down here. That is the oil drain line. So oil comes in the top through here, lubricates the bearings in the center so that as this is spinning at a very high RPM, it doesn't overheat, burn up, anything like that. And then the oil has to drain back out through that line, down through, and then that line continues through that insulated, or that insulation down there to the side of the oil pan on the engine. So the oil comes from the engine through the turbocharger back to the engine. All that insulation heat wrap is down there because these are all, let's see a little better here. This is exhaust pipe here, very hot, like glowing red hot at times. So this, I'll end up tugging it up out of the way a little bit eventually, but it has to be wrapped so it doesn't melt. Otherwise it just destroys everything. But I've got a little bit of a low spot right here where oil is going to pool, but I think as it gets high enough on this side, it'll push it out on that side and things will even out and it'll be okay. I think. We'll find out. But anyway, had to do that, set that up, and that meant that I had to take this front part off, the center part out, turbine wheels, everything out, so that I could drill a hole through the frame rail right down there. Yep, you can see it. It already had a factory hole through the bottom side of it. I just had to put a hole on the top side. Obviously I kind of guessed where it was because it doesn't line up exactly, but it's good enough. I think it'll be okay. And but anyway, that helped out a lot. I saw a guy on the Circuit Dragon Drive that did that with his Ford Fairmont and the turbocharger he had on his car. So it's a good idea. So I did that, put it all back together. It was a real pain in the rear to do because I had to loosen up all the exhaust and everything. I did go ahead and replace the bolts that hold the turbocharger to the exhaust right here. There's 4 of them. And when I loosened it up, everything kind of twisted and didn't line up anymore. So I had to loosen all the exhaust up on both sides. All of this exhaust up, these clamps, the clamps on this, and then get everything to line back up correctly. Took a lot of work. Stinker. If I have problems with this on race week, it's going to be a pain in the rear to deal with because it's difficult to get things to line back up to put them together. It's probably not that hard to take apart. You know, once things cool down for an hour or so, I can probably take it apart in half an hour. Putting it back together is going to be the hard part. So, no problems. What else? Went ahead and put the radiator back in, hold down the overflow, the coolant overflow container and the electric fan. And instead of using zip ties this go around, I made myself some little aluminum straps to hold the fan up high enough to where it should be. And as an added bonus, in addition to this bracket, it also helps squeeze the radiator into place where it should be. So that worked out pretty good. I've got my wiring covered covered up and wrapped up a little bit just so it looked a little nicer right here. And obviously I didn't worry about all that, but I'm getting tired of the details, so I'm just trying to get it running. But yeah, got that put together, radiator and stuff in, and then I mounted the intercooler. So what this is like a radiator for this. As this thing spins and as you're making full throttle power, it blows a lot of, it blows a lot of air, gives it extra air into the engine. So as it compresses the air and forces it out the exit, it's going to go through a bunch of piping and wrap around, and it's going to come in this thing on one side, come out the other, and then wrap back up around into the engine. Problem is, when it comes out of here, it gets kind of hot because it's pressurized, and so we want it as cool as possible to help run better with the fuel that this engine will use, to prevent what's called detonation or knocking in an engine. And it's just where the gas it lights off before you want it to. So, and everything. So cooling the air down with this sort of radiator called an intercooler helps the engine run better, helps it make more power safely. So this is a 4-inch intercooler. It's bigger than any intercooler I've run before. I made a couple little brackets underneath to attach it to the radiator core support. That's what this bracket is, or this bar underneath is called. It goes from one side to the other. I didn't have short enough bolts, so I just kind of had to figure it out. But this will do a good job. It'll support a lot of power, so I put that in there. Got it figured out where I want it to be. I still have to make brackets for the top. For now, I just help position things using some straps I made to kind of hold it upright in the right spot. Then I decided to go ahead and position my extra transmission coolers. There's 2 of them, actually. They go all the way down there. You can see there's a small one with just the 2 bends at the bottom. This little bit bigger one that has 4 bends plus a fan. And so that's going to sit here in the front. I'm going to try to run it on another thermostat so that it comes on automatically, kind of like the one in the back of the car does. Originally, for the transmission, I just had one cooler in the back of the car. It's a big one, like for a giant RV, but it doesn't get any direct airflow, and guys were telling me I need something here in the front, and this is how I used to run them. So as air comes in, we'll have air. This won't get as much airflow through the bumper, only a little bit. And it'll go through a little bit. The radiator here will get a little bit. Transmission cooler will get a little bit, and the radiator will get some behind it. We'll have to see if this thing overheats or not. I really don't know. It's an oversized radiator and everything, but all of this is going to stop a lot of airflow through here. So then you add this in, and well, I don't know how it's going to work. Just have to try and see. I could always, I know it's a mess back there, but I'm thinking if needed, I could probably put some holes in the front of the radiator, in the front of the bumper, so that air will flow through better. That bumper's already pretty beat up over time, so you know that's not worst case scenario here, but that might work. I just have to see. Anyway, that's a lot of what I worked on. I'm trying to get this thing kind of together so that I can try to start it now that this oil system is plumbed up. I can safely do so for a short while. Obviously, I don't have my radiator coolant hoses on here. They're not hooked up down there either. If I were to put water in it and let it could run for a longer amount of time. So I will probably finish running all of my piping for this thing so that the turbocharger can connect to the intercooler and connect. Oh, I have to order another one of these boots. This is just an old one I had laying around. I don't have the correct size. The one that I ordered was too small for the inlet here, so I got to get another one. But anyway, get all that hooked up. Maybe get my coolant hoses hooked up. I have some new ones over there. And put water in it and see what happens. See if it'll run. See if it'll start. I don't know. after I heat cycle it a couple times, I'll probably have to adjust the valves and everything again, but so far it hasn't technically run. I do have a drive shaft now, finally got that in. I haven't put it in the car yet, it's in the garage by the house, but that did get made, so it's kind of coming together slowly but surely. I just have to have time to come out here and work on it. I wanted it running a month ago, but I've got till end of September technically, but I need it sorted out and driving by that point, so we got to get with it. Anyway, that's kind of where things are. Thanks for listening to the update, and thank you again, Allison and James, for putting up with me coming in at a late hour. Appreciate you guys, love you guys, and I'll talk with you later. Bye.